Cave Story has been out for 21 years, there's still no sequel, and I'm still mad. Yes, Kitty, it's an injustice. Cave Story is one of my favorite games ever made, and it's generally considered the godfather of the indie gaming scene as we know it today. Especially considering a lot of the good faith points we today expect of pretty much all indie devs. Fair prices, expansive worlds that look about as psilocybin-fueled as Mario probably did when it came out, and a shiny glistening base for a thriving mod community. Which is the part that is most relevant to this particular White Man video essay. Cave Story is largely open source, and it is shockingly easy to make sweeping changes to the game. And I should know, I toyed around with it while I was in elementary school.
Look at the car, look how bloody he is.
And Cave Story, the actual game, almost became like a Game Maker or Unity type of application. People are telling all sorts of stories, and some folks were even bold enough to do what, for whatever reason, the people that would actually profit from this are too scared to. Which again, why no sequel? It would make $1 bajillion, and making a Cave Story sequel is something that plenty of people have attempted for free. Meanwhile, there you are working on the 20th port. I can only imagine for like a TI-84. However, keyword before that last rant, attempted. Pixel spent 3 years on the original Cave Story, and that was his baby. It was his vision. And I can only imagine how hard he was kicking himself when Nicalis bought it for pennies on the dollar and then became an empire. And I'm sure these ambitious modders, now with the advent of indie dev success stories, are abandoning these Cave Story sequels in favor of paying bills. Yes, unfortunately, Cave Story mods finish about as often as your girlfriend. There's no story in that cave. Hell, even Pixel himself said he doesn't want to make a sequel. We got Carol Blaster, which was good, but it wasn't what I wanted, and I'm a belligerent asshole. Which is why we're going to look at 4 of the elusive completed Cave Story sequel mods that I didn't pay a penny for. And provided you're okay with going to outdated websites and clicking on mysterious links that almost certainly add your computer to a botnet, you can download all of them in the description below. Now the first and probably most famous mod on the chopping block today is Jenka's Nightmare. And spoilers for the original Cave Story, I guess, because I recommend that you play it if you haven't, and it is very free. Following the events of Cave Story's good ending, you, your robot girlfriend, and your toaster are living your days out on a pastoral beach. The tile set is quite limited. But out of nowhere, you get a vision of the floating island you had saved about a year prior. And before you have the chance to really process that, you are teleported into the middle of nowhere. And hijinks. Now I'll give this mod a lot of credit. I think the story is actually quite good. There's a lot going on, and there's some very compelling plot twists baked in there too. There's not really much character regression sequel syndrome in this one. The level design also feels fairly Cave Story. You don't really appreciate until after you've played a bunch of mods how the way the levels in Cave Story proper are constructed is truly something else, and Jenka's Nightmare is a good second place. Though I will say, and I mean this with full sincerity, the biggest issue with this game is how many goddamn mazes there are. I get it's a limited engine, but I swear to God, every single area has at least one maze in it, and they're all annoying. Funnily enough, the best maze in the whole thing is actually a custom area they made. Totally new tile set and everything. The works. But it's also like the last maze, and by that point, you already are Pavloved into wanting to pull the trigger whenever a door goes somewhere weird. But let's talk about the big thing with this game. Scope. The OG Cave Story can be completed in about 4 to 6 hours. This mod is closer to 11. It actually had 3 different devs, each of whom carried the torch until they could no longer, and somebody else decided to pick up where they left off. Like seriously, they pulled out all the stops. There's secret areas, there's a secret ending, there's multiple chapters, the sprite work is really good, the character work is really good, there's branching paths, there's custom boss patterns, which you never see, and there's strategy. There's a couple of moments where it asks you, are you willing to make this choice? And you better be willing.
At the cost of some ammunition, would you like me to make your missiles more powerful?
Yes, I would.
Standard ammunition upgrades will no longer be available. Is that okay as well?
I can probably get by with like 20, right? Yeah. How many do I get? 9? No! God damn it! Ah, damn it! I fucking hate myself.
Plus, you can actually import your save of the OG cave story into this game and then pick up heart containers you might have missed. And if you want the secret ending, you'd better do that. There is a moment toward the end that I'm not going to spoil where I was emotionally wrecked.
What the? No! Wow! Oh god, that put a pit in my stomach.
This is about as good as I could have reasonably hoped for. It's not as good as the OG cave story, but it's got as much going for it. It's fun, it's ambitious, it's hard as balls, it has a truly hateable villain. Overall, I'm feeling a strong 7, probably a light 8 on this one. I had a great time with it. In fact, I've actually talked to one of the devs. They actually found my YouTube channel back when I was in my parents' basement making unwatchable Let's Plays.
Go. No!
Except the episode that they found was the one where I was making fun of their self-insert OC. There's a bit more to it than that. It ventures into spoiler territory, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But basically, the way they responded to that, it was clear that they had endured a lot of personal growth since making the mod, but that something about what I had said as a dismissive, mouth-breathing teenager was enough to unravel part of that progress. So, yeah, I'm not proud of that. Tarnishing somebody's day, who, again, did this for free. I'm still not over it. I think about it at least once a week, and it's reasons like this that I don't love myself. On to the next mod! Now, even if it's not as famous as Jenka's Nightmare, it's the one that I knew about growing up, and the one that I wore the tape out on. I don't know why I said that, I've literally never held a cassette. Cave Story: A Lost Land. To set the scene, it's immediately after the first cave story. Literally, while you're flying away on Balrog with bat wings, he all of a sudden loses his mind and you wind up back on the island. Why? Doesn't matter. Kill shit! This is more what you expect when you think sequel mod. Bizarre level design, clunky puzzles, what if you had every weapon at once? It's different because I took the ammo cap off. Weapon resprites for no reason, they literally conflict with the narrative. And characters who should be very dead, coming back for no other reason than because their boss pattern was really cool. But I'm not trying to belittle it. I think that all of these things in Gestalt are very charming. Again, it's a mod. It's just one guy making something. There's no guidebook. You're gonna break it at least once.
Hey, wait a sec. Uh-huh. Welp.
Where Jenka's Nightmare feels so ambitious that I want to treat it like an actual game, A Lost Land feels more hobbled together, and so I find myself coddling it like a baby a little bit more. I just had a good time with it. Plus, it's quite short. Also, it's got a maze, and for my money, it's better than any maze in Jenka's Nightmare. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, and then you want to go in the first door at 6. Yeah, and then you want to take the far door at 3. And you get to 6, and then you want to take the middle door for 6. And then you're back at the fucking start!
The level design is a significant step down from the OG cave story. It's got that weird mod charm, but it is kind of a pain in the ass to do anything sometimes. But you can oftentimes just hear the dev go, "Wouldn't this be cool?" through the code, and for me that's enough to keep it a joyous and bubbly experience. I think the game's biggest issue, and this is kind of a problem with the OG cave story, but not this insidious, it's that there's a lot of backtracking. A character will ask for something and you'll go back and get it. Okay, now I need this thing, and it's like right next to the first thing, and so you're zigzagging back and forth, and it's annoying. You don't have to do it, but if you love cave story enough that you're clicking on late 2000s Mediafire links, you're gonna do everything. But overall, I'd still call it a positive experience. It's cute, it's fun, it's not trying to be something that it isn't. For me, it's a light 7. And now for the third game. For mod number 3, we're actually stretching the definition of what can be considered a mod. Just bear with me for a sec. Now, Cave Story, because it's open source, was picked apart pretty relentlessly, and it didn't take long before some folks actually discovered bits and pieces of another ending that wasn't fully implemented. And while it's not like new areas and stuff, it does follow a lot of the same beats of Cave Story's third, like, true ending. It's actually an even better ending, because it explains a lot of really weird dialogue choices about Cave Story as it stands. Like, why is your timing in the sand zone so perfect? Why doesn't misery reverse the curse on Sue and Aito? What's the purpose of these destructible blocks in the sand zone? And, perhaps most importantly, what happened to the colons? That's what they're called. That's an unfortunate translation. But speaking of translation, that's actually why nobody really knew about this for a while. Now, the two most popular English translations of Cave Story are the Ion Genesis translation and Nicalis' translation. But for the freeware version, apparently when coding it, the translator actually found a lot of this unused dialogue, and that there were still triggers in place to make some of it even occur in-game. But because they'd never seen it, they just assumed it was unfinished content and literally cut the triggers. And Nicalis didn't translate it because why bother making anything new ever? There's actually a phenomenal video that I'll link in the card up here that explains this in much more detail if you want to get the full deep dive. And I haven't even told you the best part about this. It's of course that I'm fucking lying to you. God is dead and there's no fourth ending. And all the things that I've just said are some of the many excuses the person who made this video gave as to why nobody could find this thing. Other reasons include you have to beat Grasstown in under 18 minutes. You actually don't challenge Balrog. You actually have to factor in cutscenes into those 18 minutes. You can't get hit too much. The system's clock has to be in the right region, etc., etc., etc. This is a ruse that this guy kept up for more than a year before finally coming clean. No matter how fast you beat Grasstown, the block above the Sand Zone teleporter does not break. Now, coinciding with the reveal that this was all one big hoax, the dev actually released a version of Cave Story that had this fourth ending baked in, so you could actually play it. And while they say they did this because it was really fun for them to do, and Cave Story modding was their passion for a little while, I choose to believe the much funnier version of events, which is that the internet bullied them into a lifelong career of game development. And so I went ahead and played the mod for myself to see what it's like, and I have some critiques. Now, unlike the other mods here, this one is very not gameplay focused. All of the new content is in the form of cutscenes. Instead of fighting Curly, there's a cutscene. Instead of fighting Taroko, there's a cutscene. Instead of going to the second half of the labyrinth, there's a cutscene. You see where I'm going with this? This game is functionally just half of Cave Story. No new fights, no new sprites, no new nothing, just character writing. And while the writing is actually very good, it feels very in character and it fleshes them out in a way that I feel even the OG translations couldn't necessarily do. There are several very self-congratulatory moments on behalf of the dev, where a character will go, "What about this plot hole?" And then another one will go, "Ah, don't worry, we thought of that." So in a lot of ways, the new content that's in the mod but wasn't in the video feels like the dev jacking himself off for being so fucking clever, and it's kind of sickening. It wouldn't be so bad if all the parts of Cave Story that I contend are the most fun were still in it. Maybe it's the way the mod is paced with all the reading or all the quest lines they decide to leave in, but I honestly found myself getting kind of weary even of the gameplay, which is a feat considering how many times I've run through the game proper. I guess there is one fight that's different. The Undead Core is significantly easier, but that's not like transformative content. That's making the game that much more uninteresting to actually play through. It's written really well, and that's the point of it. It's a spectacle piece, but I was getting bored, and so I decided to not pick up the Spur and do Hell Temple, which is not easy, because the game itself wasn't giving me much to chew on.
Fucking why? Just lock in. Lock in!
I guess there's no reason not to play this version instead of the OG Cave Story, because it has the other endings if you choose to go for them. I just don't think that additional content really is worth going through. If you've seen the video, you've seen the mod, there's nothing waiting for you, and actually going to get it can be kind of a bore. It's a good part of Cave Story history. I'm not going to knock the effort. Like, the hoax itself was a huge commitment that involved multiple people corroborating this dev's insane cockamamie story. And the fact that they ultimately made it is a good faith thing, but actually playing through it turns a game that I love into a fluff arc fanfiction when the characters were never really why I loved it, and I find myself thinking the juice ain't worth the squeeze. I'm feeling a 4. And now, for the final mod. This one is also a bit of a stretch of the definition, but you'll see what I mean. I've been so preoccupied with finding a sequel to Cave Story that it never crossed my mind that there are people out there capable of dreaming bigger. People who love this game so much that they don't believe it should ever have to end. Enter Dokutsu Randamu, a Cave Story roguelike. God help me. I lost thousands of hours and years of my life to Binding of Isaac, and now here's a roguelike with the advent of nostalgia. I guess I retire. I'm done with YouTube. I do this now for a living.
What is this ska-ass bullshit? This is Crazy LePain! This is the Markiplier outro! What is this doing here?
There's no grandiose lore to this one. It was never finished, but it's functionally complete. This isn't technically a mod, it's a standalone application that recreates the feel of Cave Story. So the fireball bounces weird, the enemies behave differently, there's new sprite work, there's new boss fights, and I'm never gonna see the sun again, and I'm still grappling with that. It generates a giant map, and you have to collect stars. Once you've got 10, the exit opens, and you can go to the next area. The only issue is that not all the hovels are connected. So what did they do? The Nemesis is now a mining drill, and the Polar Star is now Minecraft. And you know, I gotta be honest, I didn't have as much fun as I expected to, and I don't think that's the game's fault. I think my best score was like getting to floor 5. For reference, there's a boss fight every 4th floor, so I only killed the first boss once. Like, this will test you. It's hard, dude. But it's not all hopeless. There are a slew of different characters. Some are much more geared toward beginners than others. I would recommend starting with King. There's also so many items. They're so transformative that within like 2 floors you already feel like they put you on God mode. And then a press falls from off screen and reduces you to atoms. But it's the feel of it that counts. It's the snowball. This game gets that right. And while the mining and the crafting do feel kind of cumbersome at first, when the rhythm starts to develop, they start to feel like extensions of your body. It's really incredible. Now, I would have preferred something maybe a bit more thematic than just collecting stars. If the objective changed floor to floor, that might also be fun. I kind of feel weird ranking it because I haven't seen much of it. I keep, like, dying immediately. And I don't even know if there's an endgame or not. I assume there is because a character that markets themselves as being designed for speedrunning, and since there's no timer anywhere, I assume that means there's something to work towards. Again, they never finished it, so maybe I'm wrong, but I'm experiencing the parts they did work on over and over again, and they're nice. I'm speaking really positively about this game because I want to give it time to grow on me. And while I could definitely play a bit more and actually try winning a run, I've also seen my uncut footage, and I'm good leaving it here. I'm feeling a strong 6, light 7 on this. It could go up. It probably will. When I get better, I'll probably sober on it considerably, but that's gonna be months of my life that I didn't want to make you wait through. And also, I haven't posted in like a month because I've been working on this, and by working on this, I mean playing Silksong, and okay, aside. I consulted ChatGPT about where I am in the game. I gave it a screenshot of my inventory and my map. The game's been out for over 3 months. I've been playing it every weekend, halfway through. I haven't even started Pokemon ZA yet. I haven't even finished Pokemon Moon yet. I was playing 9 Souls before that, not done with that, and that's way harder than Silksong, and I just, fuck me, man. What a middle-class thing to say, that I am working through video games. God, I'm mad. I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off about more than just there not being a sequel now. I'm falling apart here, man. My name is Vigibus. This has been The All Path. Good night, Dayton.